Welcome to the Pastor's Corner, hosted by Pastor Charlie and Dr. Melanie Jimmerson. Step back and join us as we take a closer look at how the Bible really can and does apply to our lives today. We really do value your feedback, so write a comment and don't forget to share so your friends will be blessed as well.
Welcome to the Pastor's Corner. Thank you for tuning in. This is going to be aired. We're recording this a little early, but this is going to be aired the Saturday before our elections. We have been going over a Christian or biblical worldview, and we're going to bring that worldview into the aspect of our voting, because Christians should be. I started to say are, but I wish I could say that, but I can't. But Christians should be Christian in every area of our lives. And so therefore, we have an important election coming up in just a few days. Now, if you have not registered to vote,
It's too late.
shame on you. It's too late. But register, because Christians need to vote. And we'll kind of cover that in today's Pastor's Corner as well. Now, we're not going to be endorsing any candidates. We're going to be discussing how Christian worldview should influence our voting. And then you need to decide who to vote for. Now, one thing to remember, because we're going to start off with the party platforms.
So I asked Pastor Tutt this week, I said, do you think that everybody is thoroughly aware of the fact that platforms are made up of planks, what they call planks, and planks are ideals.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that most of the planks are pretty well easy to understand, and
Well, it is on one side.
well, they try to make them easy to understand, but don't forget, this is all in legalese.
Uh-huh.
And when the lawyers get involved, nobody understands.
That's right.
I'm sorry, but and I love you if you're a Christian lawyer. Yes, but you got to understand that y'all invented word salad, and so I would like to talk about the planks a little bit. Each plank is a high ideal. In a perfect world, this is what we would like to see. And we are going to work for this particular ideal. And so each of the parties, and there's several of them, I mean, not just two. There's not just two parties. We have 4 or 5.
Yes, but we're going to be going over the two major parties
Right.
today.
Yeah. And
But it's not a bad idea to Google and look at any part. If you've got a person that you're leaning toward and they're not of the Republican or Democratic Party, well, check out their platform to find out what they support, because each person pledges. If I run for office, no matter who I run for, if I'm in a party, I pledge to support the party platform, whatever it says. Even if it goes against what I believe, I pledge to follow that platform.
the platform is decided by a very big committee. I happen to have been in on this one time in my life. They meet a long time before the convention assimilates, but if you are going to be and you know that you're going to be a convention delegate all the way from your precinct meeting, you have to go to the precinct meeting, then you have to go to the district meeting, then you have to go to your state convention before you can be eligible to go to your federal convention, because the state convention is where the delegates to the different committees are decided. So there's quite a process. It's almost a year long before we get to the national convention. But at the national convention, the the conventioneers, that's what I like to call them, they come in with their ideals already pretty well decided, but then they get together and there are certain compromises that take place, and some planks are adopted and some are not. But once a plank is adopted, once an ideal is adopted, it becomes a plank in the platform. The platform is what all the candidates must know and must agree to in order to be able to get any money from the party to run for office.
Right.
It's a pretty complicated
Yes.
convention, but it works. And the thing I like about it is that it is not run by the government. It is run by the grassroots organization of here in America. There's pretty much 3 or 4 pretty large grassroots organizations, and then they all meld into whatever side they're on, whatever convention they believe they belong to. And let me say, in every convention, in every group, whether it's Republican or Democrat, there are, for instance, in the Republican Party, there are some liberals in the Republican Party that say, we have got to loosen up on this a little bit, or there are some very tight conservatives who say, we have to tighten up on this. And so somewhere in the middle comes the plank, and in the Republican Party right now, I think we have 22 planks in our platform. But that is a result of a whole lot of negotiating.
Compromise.
Some compromise too,
Mm-hmm.
but it's negotiated, and it's negotiated with the greater good in mind.
Right. Now, I've got a little definition here of the party platform. This definition actually says a party platform is essentially a declaration of a political party's values and the policy roadmap it intends to follow.
Right.
Every presidential election year, the Democratic and Republican parties unveil their platforms during their respective summer conventions. And we just went through both those conventions,
Right.
and both platforms was revealed. And we're going to go over, to begin with, I want to go over at least, and this is for me, 3 very important values, because that's what a platform is. It's the values of the party. I want to go over 3 very important values that really depend personally who I vote for.
Right.
These are very, very dear to me, and I believe ought to be very dear to every Christian. Now, I do need to say that I looked at both party platforms. The Republican Party platform, I believe, and I'm going on my memory now, and it's not always the best, but I think it was around 21 pages. The Democratic platform was 99 pages.
Wow, that's a lot of reading. Okay.
Yes, and that's why I'm saying it's not always easy to understand, because in both platforms, they will make a statement, and then within that plank, that ideal, they'll try to describe what they're saying, and that's where it can get very foggy. Now, the first plank that I want to talk about, which for me, I believe every Christian ought to have this on their highest concern, because it's God's highest concern. God's highest concern is life. Mm-hmm. He created life. He's the giver of life.
Well, Jesus came and says, I came to give life, and that more abundantly.
Right. So we have to understand that life is so important. And so this comes straight from the Democratic platform that I'm going to be reading here. It says, ever since the U.S. Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade in 2022, Democrats have made abortion the defining issue of their party. Harris devoted a significant portion of her acceptance speech to abortion. Now this is commentary here. Lamenting the overturning of Roe v. Wade. Likewise, her vice president running mate, Tim Walz, promised to protect reproductive freedom and touted his home state of Minnesota's pro-abortion laws. Now, guys.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yes,
Okay.
they're very pro-abortion.
Okay.
Now, I believe in reproductive freedom, but I don't believe that a woman or a man ought to have the right to kill another person. And I don't care what you call it in the womb, that baby is a person.
Right.
There's reports about how babies feel pain. They can hear. There's all kinds of things that prove that baby is alive in that womb. And in fact, the environmentalist, you can go to jail for breaking an eagle egg.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Now wait a minute.
Because eagles are protected.
Yeah, eagles are protected, but that's an egg.
Well, but that's just an egg.
You know,
However, it's full of eagle DNA.
That's right. Well, see, that's the whole point. They want to say, hey, you got to protect that. You've got to, what's the difference between that egg, that eagle egg, and that growing fetus? Because within that egg is a growing fetus of an eagle. Well, in a mother's womb is a growing fetus of a human.
Right.
But fetus is just another name for baby. In that egg is a baby eagle in various forms of development. In the womb, a baby. That fetus is a baby in various levels of formation. And that's why a lot of the states have passed heartbeat bills.
Okay, that's what Texas has done.
That's what Texas has done, because once the heart starts beating, that's the law line that Texas has drawn, and we're in Texas. Mm-hmm. But let me tell you, I have a finer line. My line is conception.
Yes.
At conception, because that's what God says.
Yes. Yeah, it is the absolute beginning. We can't wait until it develops 2 or 3 weeks or 4 or 5 weeks, but they can begin to hear the heartbeat at 6 to 8 weeks.
Right.
We have wonderful medical machines that can actually detect the fetus heartbeat. And fetus is a Latin word for little man.
Yeah.
So it's okay to call them fetuses. They are fetuses.
Mm-hmm.
And
But that's Latin. You're speaking Latin when you say fetus.
yeah, but it helps to clarify what has been conceived.
Right.
I had 2 children. I didn't have 2 puppies.
Right. Yes.
I had children. I had little humans that just haven't become adults yet.
Yes. Now, the 2024 Democratic platform includes a nearly 1,000-word section titled Reproductive Freedom that outlines the party's stance on abortion. Mm-hmm. This marks a significant shift from 20 years ago, when the 2004 platform addressed abortion in just one paragraph, stating it should be safe, legal, and rare. Mm-hmm. That is not consistent with the party's platform today, because it truly, if you read the definition of what they're saying in that 1,000-word word salad, if you read that, you'll find out that you're not sure where abortion can stop. And that bothers me.
Well, abortion bothers me.
Yeah, abortion bothers me, but to take the life of a 9-month-old baby.
A mature baby.
Yeah, a mature baby.
A mature fetus ready to be born.
Right. And of course, and there's lots of, political ads out there right now, and women talking about not getting their treatment and everything. That's not true.
No.
They get treatment and the treatment that they need. It just wasn't the treatment they wanted.
Well, one of the things that I think we need to go back and look at is, and because it's not, if this is taken from the platform, this is that Roe v. Wade was not overturned per se. It is not. It is a matter of a state constitutional decision. Mm-hmm. Because the state constitution of every state is affected by this. So we have to understand that what the Supreme Court did was just return the decision on whether abortion would be legal in that particular state back to the state. The good thing about that is, because it was at the national level for almost 30 years, that constituted, according to the Constitution, a federal invasion into state business. So all it did was clear that up.
Right. And basically what it did is I would word it different than saying it returned it to the states.
Okay.
It returned it to the people of the states, because we the people. Yeah. We got to remember that it's not our government doesn't make decisions. We make the decisions, and it's we the people. And the people in Texas do not want abortion, especially after that growing fetus baby is viable. And that's what we the people here in Texas decided. Now California has decided something totally different, but that's the way the United States are set up. Each state decides. Okay? Now, the Republican platform, I pulled something just right out of there. It says, we proudly stand for families and life.
I like that word, stand. Let me tell you, from one of my areas of study, now I'm just going to say, I don't have a degree in it. I studied it heavily, though, is ethics. And ethics is a division of philosophy. But the mantra of ethics is, if we don't stand for something, we will fall for anything.
That's right.
So the reason to even know about the word ethics and what it does is it says, here's how you stand for this.
Right. Now, in fact, the Republican platform cites the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution that argues no person can be denied life, liberty, or liberty without due process. The United States are therefore free to pass laws protecting those rights. So we are given in our Declaration of Independence and Constitution the right of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It doesn't guarantee us happiness, but it does guarantee us the right to life and liberty. We have liberty here in the United States. But we also have, it said life first. Mm-hmm. Life. We have the right to life. Now, when you agree with abortion, whether you agree with us or not, and I know that there may be some liberal people here, and you're probably not going to like this whole thing, okay? Oh. And you don't have to watch it, okay? We are just trying to give the stance of what God says. God is for life.
In the Constitution, I mean, the whole thing, not just the Constitution, but also the Bill of Rights and the other amendments. life comes up in the wording.
Mhm.
In many cases, and this cites the 14th Amendment, but even before that, the 5th Amendment stands for due process, and as it impacts American life. And so what the 5th Amendment gives you the right to due process at the federal level, all the way to the Supreme Court. The 14th Amendment gives you the right to due process from your front porch, from your front door forward.
Yes.
Anywhere, anything that affects you, where you live, in your state, in your county, in your city. The 14th Amendment is very important, and it's not well known.
Right.
How effective it can be, and how it can affect your life if it is violated.
Now, moving on, because we could probably do an hour on each one of the
I
planks,
probably
but
took too
we're
long.
trying to get information out.
Yeah.
The next thing is religious freedom. Now, the Democratic platform wants to maintain, and this in my notes is in quotation because this comes straight from their platform, maintain the separation of church and state. There is nothing in our Constitution that says there is a separation of church and state.
No.
Our Constitution says the state shall not pass any law against the church.
No.
It doesn't say the church doesn't have anything to say within the state or the government. Okay? The church has full liberty and right and freedom to speak into our government. Our government cannot tell the church what to say, what to do. What they are doing, their platform puts the religious freedom and other civil rights at war with one another.
In jeopardy, right.
Yeah. Which one are they going to do? Do you have, okay, well, you know, our government has basically legalized same-sex marriage. So a couple wants to come into this church and get married. Well, our Constitution bylaws in this church says no. That was long before the passing of that so-called, it's not even a law, but it's become one because the courts have upheld it.
The courts have passed it into
Yeah.
law.
But the thing is, so whose rights are better? Is it those persons or the church's person? What about that gentleman? And he just won another battle, that Baker. He just won another battle. They threw the case out that was against him, but they keep coming after this one guy because they want him to, and there's other bakers in that town. Let's get real here, okay? If I want a very religious cake, no matter, you decide what that is. If I wanted a real religious cake, I would not go to an atheist and expect them to make me a religious cake. Now, they may, but I wouldn't trust them. Okay? But so why would they choose to go to a person they know believes that that's not right, and therefore they are not going to do it? Why do they keep going to that same person? Because they're wanting to make a statement. They're wanting to change the law.
The good thing about it is that this now famous baker, and I think he's in Salt Lake, now famous because he took a stand and he stood by his stand, and he has the Constitution on his side because of the due process. And,
that's right, 14th Amendment.
14th Amendment. So we really need to know that amendment. Now,
the platform, the Democratic platform condemns anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, and it also condemns the decades-long campaign to demonize the Muslim community. Now, I don't think that. I think that's a lie. I don't think that's ever happened.
I I don't see how that could happen because the Muslim community is so fractured in its own because the different denominations among the Muslim, what do they call them? The Muslim denominations, imams, right? Well, they have denominations just like the Christian does, but they are very set against one another, and so Islamophobia could even apply to them. They may be Muslim, but if they're Sunni, they might not be agreeable with Sikhs, and Sikhs might not be agreeable with Sheikhs, and so what you have is a
and that is true because there's countries that with those different religions.
So Islamophobia here is it's a swipe against the U.S. Constitution.
Right.
Because religious freedom is either free or not.
Now, the Republican platform contains strong language on religious freedom. It declares that Republicans are actually the defenders of the First Amendment right to religious liberty. It defines as the right not only to worship according to the dictates of the conscience, but also to act in accordance with those beliefs. In other words, I can live like a Christian outside this church. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's very important. We're trying to be pushed inside. Yes. This is why Christians need to wake up to what's going on. The platform pledges that Republicans will create a new federal task force to fight anti-Christian bias. And I am getting tired of the local, or not just the local, it's national news too, trying to say that's a conspiracy theory. That doesn't happen. It happens.
Yes, it does.
Yes. Just talk to that baker for one. Now the next one, because this is going to be a little bit longer than the others, because we need to get through this stuff. The platform for the Democrats on their the stance on marriage, family, and sexuality. Now, this is another important one for me. Now, guys, I've only picked 3, and you see how passionate I am and Melanie is with about these things. But you know what? I'm passionate about each and every last one of those planks. We're not even going to talk about the right to bear arms. I believe, strongly in our right to bear arms. We need to have the right to defend ourselves. I believe that's why the United States itself has never been invaded by another country.
Right,
because the citizens are armed. They don't have just the army to fight. They don't have just the Navy or the Marines. No, they have the people. And the people will take arms up. And we do have arms. And how many arms can someone have? I don't care. That's not for me to say. But the Democratic platform endorses the Equality Act legislation that would make sexual orientation and gender identity a protected class with the federal non-discrimination law. Let me put that in English where that can go. Okay? If someone comes up to me and they are obvious female, okay? Right. And I say, well, ma'am, how are you doing today? I'm not a ma'am. I'm a sir. Well, you don't look like a sir. You look like a ma'am. Well, I identify as a man. But biologically, you're a woman. But that doesn't matter. I could be sued, fined, jailed if they get their way. Because I believe that everybody's gender is decided during conception. That's when God decides male or female. And all this, it is this euphoria that is going on, this gender, confusion stuff is running rampant. We are mutilating children in the name of science. I mean, you talk about Hitler. Hitler did all kinds of
Genetic.
yeah, genetics and all that kind of stuff. And boy, they was ready to, just crucify him over that. But let me tell you, now it seems to be okay. Give me a break.
So we need to take it back to the egg one more time. What determines the gender of the baby? The DNA.
The DNA. And guess what? You can cut parts off. You can put parts on. But let me tell you, your DNA, if you were born male, will always be male DNA. If you were born female, I don't care what you do, you will always have female DNA. You cannot change it. Now, although this platform plank here doesn't actually mention this completely, it does exempt this Equality Act that they're trying to get passed for the gender thing. It exempts it from religious freedom. So what they're saying is that it doesn't matter what the Bible says. It doesn't matter what the church believes. It doesn't matter what that baker says or believes. It doesn't matter what those nuns believe, or, it doesn't matter. All that doesn't matter.
Well, let me just throw in one more group.
Okay.
Muslims.
That's right. Let me tell you, this is just not just for Christians. Some of these things, in fact, I think life, this marriage, family, and sexuality ought to hit home in, almost every religion, every faith.
Muslims are very strong about that. They're so opposed to all the gender confusion because they have a great deal of prowess,
right,
in their male community. And like it or not, agree with them or not, they are entitled to have a stand, believe it or not, right along with conservatives concerning this particular issue.
Yes. Now, this platform, the Democratic platform, also supports medically necessary gender-affirming care. Yeah. That's the mutilation of her children. They're saying that it's there. The platform celebrated in just one term how Biden administration tied the record for the most openly, and I got to read this because I can't never do this, LGBTQI plus. You got to put the plus in there now, because there's something like, I think we're up to 82 or 92 different genders you can be now. But judges that were appointed. So they're going after this. Yeah. Let me tell you, our military is being just dissolved because all this gender identity, and now we have illegals coming in to our country that our country is going to give sex changes to. Our government's going to pay for it. There was a man that was put in prison here just recently that wants a sex change, and now a judge has ruled that the state has to pay for it.
We're going to pay for it.
Yeah. Give me a break. Okay? The Republican.
Well, giving them a break.
The Republican platform. Republicans will promote a culture that values the sanctity of marriage. And marriage in the past was defined it did not totally define it word for word in the platform, but I believe you can see it in the platform. But marriage is one man, one woman. It values the blessings of childhood, the foundational role of families, and supports working parents. It also affirmed the biological basis for sex. Okay? Guys, I remember 2020, boy, the mantra was follow the science. Follow the science. You got to follow the science. Well, guess what science says? Your DNA determines your sex.
Yeah, that's right.
And guess what? Last time I checked, there were 2 DNA sections for sex, not 90-some. And also the Republicans on this, which the Democrats, if you read their platform, are against this. But the Republicans put in there that they're going to keep men out of women's sports.
Yeah.
Now, for me,
Again, that's a state issue.
right. But for me, that is a no-brainer.
Right.
I mean, let's face it, there are biological differences between male and female. And I know Sister Lytle, the pastor before me here at the church, she used to say, "Viva la difference." Okay? The difference is a good thing, but there are differences. And the majority of male are stronger physically. And I said the majority. I know some very physically strong women that I wouldn't want to get around. But let me tell you, there are the majority of men the same age are stronger than women of the same age. And so to put a man on a girl's field hockey, you get a girl that is mutilated for life because she was hit by that male. You get volleyball female players being knocked out because the spiked ball hit them in the head.
It was spiked by a male.
By a male, right. Let me tell you, the Republicans have written in their plank that they are going to affirm the Title IX for education regulations and restore protections for women and girls' rights.
And see, women my age look back over our history for the last 50 years, let's say 50 years, and we have worked very diligently to make sports give women a little spot in that, a little part of that particular endeavor, because it does have virtue. It has virtue.
Yes.
It teamwork, sports teams. You have to learn teamwork. You have to learn leadership. Yes. You have to learn valuable lessons through sports that women, by and large, do not have a venue to learn those things.
Didn't when I was in school.
Right.
I mean, there was very few women's sports, anything. But, we learned the value of women and the value of sports, what it teaches.
But see, if this is not addressed, then and is continued and continues to be allowed, then it will put women out of sports.
Yes.
Eventually put women out of sports. They will rename from women's sports to weak men's sports or something,
something.
Weaker men's sports or something. And anyway, it'll just be another division of male sports, and women will have nowhere to go again. And I learned this, frankly, through my involvement with Girl Scouts. Does that mean that Girl Scouts will be jeopardized now too? So,
They're trying.
yeah.
They're trying.
they
Now, I just got some regulations here, or some planks, and I don't know if I did.
You
I
did.
printed that.
Right.
Okay. We're going to try to go through these real quickly. We're not going to discuss them. We discussed some, but I just want to let you know what each party, and the reason I'm going to parties, because remember, the candidate has pledged to back the party platform. Okay?
It
The
is a
Democratic Party, I'm going to give Democrat
In order
first,
for them
then
to get the
Republican.
money. Right. for them.
Okay, Democratic Party, pro-abortion, ending life. Republican, pro-life, letting babies live. Democratic Party, reorganizing police, whatever that means. Republicans, supporting police. Democratic Party, gun control. Don't listen to all these commercials. Well, I own guns. Well, they are for gun control. Republican, gun rights. Democrats, illegal immigration, open borders. Republicans, legal immigration. Republicans aren't against immigration.
No, but what we are for are sovereign borders.
That's right, and doing it legally.
Yes.
Okay? Democratic Party, let anyone vote. That now I kind of understand why it's open borders. Republican Party, voter ID. Democratic Party, over-regulation. Republicans, small businesses, and less regulation. Democratic Party, suppression of speech. They want free speech as long as the speech supports them.
Yep, that's all.
But then if it doesn't support them, it's fake news. But anyway, Republican free speech. You're free. I listen to people that don't agree with me. Now, if it gets too bad for me, I can change the channel.
Right. This year you can.
Yeah.
Maybe not next
Maybe
year.
not next year. You're right. The last one I have is the Democratic Party is for liberalism, communism, and socialism. And we're going to be going over some of those next week.
Right.
But then the Republican Party is for conservatism, constitutionalism, and capitalism.
Right.
Now, as we end, I want to give you a brief history lesson. And that's on there too, I believe.
Okay.
The Democrats are responsible for, we got about 5 minutes left. Democrats are responsible for God being kicked out of government, prayer being taken out of schools, abortion being legalized, same-sex marriage being legalized, our borders being totally compromised, and the degrading of our cities. The vote on the 14th Amendment was passed, and we've talked about the 14th Amendment today and how important it is. It was passed with 94% Republican support. Absolutely no Democratic support. None. The House passed the bill after 70 days of public hearings and testimony in a 290 to 130 vote. 60% of Democrats voted for, and 78% of Republicans voted for it. In the Senate, the Democrats filibustered, but after the filibuster ended, it passed with a 73-27 vote. 82% of the Republicans in the Senate voted for the bill, as did 69% of the Democrats. Now, let me tell you, I'm going to give you a brief comparison of, and no, I'm not going to go over that, but I want to let you know that, and you can research this. Don't take my word for it, okay? Who is responsible for slavery being overturned in the United States?
Republicans.
It was the Republicans. Do you realize not one Democrat vote was cast to stop slavery? And now they show themselves as the party of the
Against
freed
slavery.
slaves.
Yeah.
That ended
Well,
slavery.
they don't remember Lincoln's name?
Yeah. The only reason that slavery ended when it did in the United States, which it should have ended a lot sooner, of course I believe that. But it didn't. I can't change history. But I can look at history and see what party did what. That's why parties are important. So now, who are you going to vote for? As a Christian, I believe we need to use our Christian values to vote. Now, I will admit there is not one single perfect candidate running for any office.
That's right,
Not one.
because they're human.
That's right, we're human. And last time I checked, and I check often, Jesus Christ was not on the ballot anywhere. Okay? So that would be the only perfect candidate. If I ran, I wouldn't be perfect.
I've been meaning to talk to you about that.
Okay, all right. I'll pray. But the simple fact is we have to vote for the person that best aligns with God's values. Mm-hmm. That's what we got to do. The easiest way to do that, now you can research each person. That takes time. I've done that in the past. That is hard to do because you really have to research to find how they voted and
Yes,
what
you do.
they all support and everything. It takes a lot of research. Or you can look at the party that they've aligned themselves with and find out what that party supports because they have pledged their support to the party. Not to what they think is right, but the party.
And one of the other things that I like to hear, if somebody, especially a down ballot, okay, that means in a smaller race, maybe a smaller office, a representative office, even all the way down to district attorney, somewhere down there. You have to listen to them say that they would stand up for what they believe. Well, that's not what I want. I want them to represent me.
Mm-hmm.
And if they are willing to listen to their constituents, that's us.
That's us.
And take into consideration what we have expressed to them that we believe is right, then I can support them. But if they're standing up there talking about how great they are and how much they think about or what they think about this, and it's in opposition to what I think about this, I'm not going to vote for them because that's all ego.
That's right.
And they're supposed to be representing the will of the grassroots group that they. So listen to them carefully.
Right. And you can't believe, I hate saying this, but it's the truth. You can't believe everything that they say, and you really can't believe a lot of those commercials because they're saying whatever they have to say to get elected to where then they can rule however they want to.
Well, I think the media in the United States nowadays intends to rule the United States.
Yeah, they're getting who they want elected.
So we have to use a whole lot of discernment about what is that ad really saying?
Right.
You know, because they're going to make it sound as good as they can.
Mm-hmm.
But what are they really saying? And because remember, each of these parties pay big money
For those
to be,
commercials.
yeah, to be able to run those ads. And so the media is making money off of every venue, everything that they can, and they influence the ones that pay them the most. Come on.
That's right.
We know that.
So, guys, tomorrow's Sunday. So what do they need to do?
Go to church a lot.
But how about encouraging your church since it's the Sunday before election, how about y'all getting together and praying for this country?
Yeah,
Repenting for the great sins that this country has been involved in.
right.
And hopefully pray that Christians will quit sticking their heads in the sand and get out there and vote for the best candidate that aligns with what God's values are. None of them are going to be perfect, but there are better than some. And that's who we got to vote for. Because as Americans, that is a God-given right to us. We are in the United States. God sets up government, and our government says that it's we the people. So be the people and do your job. Vote for the best person. Good night. God bless.
Thank you for watching, and remember, be in church tomorrow. If you don't have a home church, you really need to find one. The church needs you, and you really need the church.